Hello everybody and a warm welcome to our podcast today. I'm Beatrice Lem and representing here for East West Ayurveda and Yoga, and this is my lovely colleague Tamika.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
All right, let's jump on. Thank you for tuning in this evening. It's good to be back in the chair. We've got Beatrice and Tamika joining us. Welcome both.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having us tonight, Bianca.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming in. Okay, so we're here this evening to talk about all things health and wellness. That's usually what we talk about when you're in the studio, because
Yes.
you're an expert at it. So before we go into that, tell us about yourself for those who don't know you.
Wonderful,
both
thank
of
you.
Tamika and
Yes,
Beatrice.
it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has. I don't know how long. I didn't look at my diary
I
when
think
it
it was
was.
pre-COVID actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But no, we're really thrilled to be here, and so I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner and yoga teacher, and have a beautiful business together with two colleagues, Lee Savanovic and Dr. Sumit Jama, and under East West Ayurveda and Yoga. So we have a wonderful business that we offer to our community for health, wellness, offering Ayurvedic services, yoga, meditation, workshops, retreats, and really they're very much for the community, and really promoting people to start taking a little bit more ownership over their own health and well-being, and giving them tools and a basis to help them to do so.
So how did you get involved in it, just briefly? This journey started how long ago?
Well, this journey
With this
started
business?
even before this business, together with lovely Tamika. We actually studied together here in Adelaide at Equals under Dr. Bosco, who I think has been in here before as well. Yeah. So, I mean, we've both had a very strong drawing to knowing that there are alternate ways to look after yourself through connection with self, but also with all the beautiful things that Mother Nature has to offer for us as well. And I was always had this vision of becoming a practitioner of some sort in service and community and offerings to others, and I found this wonderful path through Ayurveda, and yoga has always been a strong part of my life as well. So I've just been very fortunate that this has really unfolded, and now we're sort of back doing a little bit more work together, which I'm very excited about. And Tamika also happens to be my niece, and
really?
we are connected in more ways than one.
The family dream team.
Yes,
That's it, right?
Yes.
All this interest in health and wellness runs in the family.
Does.
Yes.
Usually does,
It does. It does.
doesn't it?
Yeah, well, definitely in ours, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, Tamika, your centre is called Sattva Centre. Just
Yes.
if you want to tell us about that.
Yes, so I'm the founder of the Sattva Centre up in Bridgewater, up in the Adelaide Hills, and also an Ayurvedic practitioner, but also a developmental educator, or an educator for special needs, children particularly. So my field of expertise works within that demographic, but also too with chronic illness and long-term symptoms, and helping people to understand root cause for conditions and ways to start managing that with a holistic approach using Ayurveda, which is such an intelligent and beautiful science that provides a lot of answers. In addition to, I'm very passionate about looking at what we are contending with in our modern world with health needs and requirements at the moment, and blending our modern needs with the ancient knowledge, which I think works particularly well.
Well, that's right. 5,000 years of it's been around Ayurvedic medicine.
Yeah, it's the reason it's lasted that long.
So, what sort of things are you seeing out there with people? You're noticing more of a trend the past few years, people interested more in dealing with their health from a more holistic point of view with that sort of medicine?
I think so. I think there's two key aspects. One is that chronic illness is unfortunately on the rise, and it's becoming far more complex. So even from when we first started working in clinics, not what is it, 6-7 years ago, finding that people are coming in younger, but also with more complex needs and more severe in nature. And so I think there is the second part would be that people are on a search because the mysteriousness of people's symptoms are definitely present, and they're looking for answers. And often they get to us, unfortunately, at a stage where they've been backed into a corner and are looking for alternatives, and then fall in love with the science as it goes along, and fall in love with the holistic nature of healing.
So what period of time are you saying this has happened? Has this happened more recently, or it's been like that for the past 5 years or so, or past few years?
I would say probably, in my experience in the clinic, would be probably the last 2 or 3 years, where the complexity of symptoms and the severity of symptoms is definitely on the increase. And I'm finding that clients are definitely getting younger as well, and that it's affecting families in quite a significant way. So I have a big passion for working with children and young families. It tends to be my area, and women's health, and that is something that has definitely shifted to being more severe, more complex.
Like what sort of issues with women?
Hormonal issues. So fertility is something that is definitely a focus area. Hormonal issues, but in addition, skin problems, quite significant, neurological problems, and that's something that we're finding on the rise for both men and women. The nervous system is definitely needing some support. So mystery syndromes and disorders and conditions of, we're not quite sure where it's come from, and new names coming out all the time. But I think if there's a positive to take from it is that you can heal, and there are answers, and there is a way forward. It's just we need to start understanding the root cause of conditions and where they're coming from in order to actually remove these symptoms and help people get on with their lives happy and healthy.
Yeah. Is some of it sort of a lot of depression or anxiety, just fast-paced life? We hear that the past few years, the past 5-10 years, people busy, under strain, pressures financially, pressures all around, really. The world's become really fast-paced. Is it? Do you think it's that? It's hard to say. You say it's a mysterious thing. We don't know, but people say that's part of it too? They just feel overwhelmed and stressed. They just need to slow down.
Absolutely. So there's, we're all victim to that, aren't we? In terms of what we're managing. But I think it's potentially more complex than that as well. I think that our physical bodies are quite overburdened by our environment, and the environment that we have created in the past 100 years or so is not necessarily a very natural one. So we are heavily exposed to laboratory designed viruses and bacterias and heavy metals and chemicals, and I could go on for everything from radiation to pesticides to scented candles to perfumes to
Is that really all those things that we think are sort of benign, like scented candles, aren't so great for us?
Well, even I could go on all day, but even the label of fragrance, they don't even need to necessarily tell you what's in those fragrances. It could be, I could give you some articles if you'd like. But
can you just give us a little teaser, like what's in some of them?
Some of them are known, particularly for the nervous system. So ones that actually affect the nervous system to a level of dangerous, I would say. But in addition to that, carcinogenic or fertility and hormonal disruptors.
In perfume and cologne.
Perfumes, colognes, hair products, spray tans, shampoos, soaps, incense, scented candles, nail polish. It goes on. So I think it's looking at, yes, absolutely, we live a high-paced life, many of us, and the stress levels are quite high, especially given the last couple of years. It's been a very interesting global situation, to say the least. But there are things that are definitely creating imbalance in our system. And the other thing we've got to remember is that all of this is relatively new for the human body, right? So evolution takes a really long time, and the process for the body to evolve with where it's situated takes a long period of time. So we're not designed to detox our exposures naturally. We're not designed to detox fragrances and pesticides and aluminium and mercury, and that's abnormal substances really for human consumption. So we have to draw some links, I think, into increase of chronic illness and, you know, our exposures in our environment. There's without doubt.
Are there certain things people can do? I mean, obviously, you know, with perfume, a lot of people spray it on their clothing, just on the outside. They don't put it on their skin. They spray perfume on the outside, but there are things like bars. I've heard of special sort of clay. Is it bentonite or a certain clay that takes the metals out of our body if we soak in bars? Are there things like that? Just some little quick tips for listeners.
We can definitely induce cleansing, and I think in order to prevent disease, if you're living well, or if you are really crook on Mattress Island with a series of mystery conditions, cleansing is your place to go. And so if I was to tell anyone to get some information, the first book I would be looking at is a book called Cleanse to Heal by Anthony William, who's the medical medium, and look into the cleansing process in a safe way that utilises things that we can access very readily at supermarkets and farmers markets to assist our livers to get rid of the build-up and to look at some key products that are actually causing the most disturbance to our systems. It's in the first few chapters, looking at what we can do, what are the big heavy hitters, what you can get rid of quite easily from your life that can have significant effects on your health. So in a good way.
Yeah, we really need to sort of look at the liver and cleansing and juices, green juices.
If you want to get well, you clean your
less, eating
liver.
less, more juicing and fasting. I know a lot of people are getting into intermittent fasting, you know, eating in a certain window, like a 4-hour window, eating once or twice a day. Are you into that sort of thing?
Depends on what you have. So if you've got nervous system issues or adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, looking at glandular fever or any conditions of anxiety, depression, fasting would not be what we would recommend. It's you need to keep your levels quite stable and having
what levels? Sugar levels?
Yeah, but utilising glucose, sodium and potassium are your three big ones, and to be having those every couple of hours so that we can start to facilitate healing in the body. But everybody's different. Every condition is different.
Yeah, and that's where the knowledge of Ayurveda comes in as well, because we look at your individual prakriti, so your natural constitution, and the nature of your condition as well. So it's not just one fits all. And I think it's really important for the listeners to be reminded of that cleansing should be a daily practice for all of us. So that can be sort of that morning routine, those sort of practices that we've spoken about before. Obviously, the actual food aspect is really, really important, and the timings of the food and the combinations of foods. And we've found with Anthony William, his work has been almost like bringing the Ayurveda into the modern living. And using the principles and the teachings of Ayurveda and combining them together, and it's been really, really effective. It can, however, be quite overwhelming, especially if we are living a life, you know, with our bodies and our minds and our self is to a point where it's quite toxic. It's not an easy task, you know, and there can be, you know, just even if you are a coffee drinker and you decide to go for a day without coffee, you have a headache, you feel lethargic, you're grumpy. It's incredible.
Exactly right.
Yeah, you know, and so just by eliminating one thing out of your day, you can have a significant effect. And you go, well, that's not working, I'll get back onto it. But the thing is that the body is a bit cranky because it's used to having that input, and you're taking it away. But you know, if you are under guidance, for example, and perhaps coming into one of our programs, we can do it in a really safe and gentle way that it's then for the long term and not just a short term fix and, you know, go for a quick diet and then go back into the old habits again. So, and it's not only food, there's you know, all aspects of the life. We've spoken about all the different habits, but it's so empowering. That's the thing, is that we're giving your health back to you, and you're not looking for everybody else to tell you what's wrong and what you need. So it's certainly the better way to go.
Yeah, and people need that support. That's why I sort of really like and respect what you do. Is, you know, people, we often say we want to be healthy, we want to walk, we want to eat well, but it's not that easy. And like you said, like even the other day, I missed a coffee one day and I had a migraine, and I couldn't think why I had this migraine, and then I realised I didn't have a coffee. But it's incredible. It ruined my whole night because this migraine I thought, how can one coffee just do this? But so what I'm saying is we need that help, we need that support. Go to someone, get on the path. It's a holistic thing, body, mind, soul, like you've spoken about before. Look at the food, look at how we're relaxing, unwinding mentally. It's not just food, it's everything.
It is everything. And
exercise, resting.
You know, the program that we are offering is our 4-week, I mean, we call it New You, but it's actually in a way it's a new you, but it's the you that's always been there. Okay, so it's just uncovering the you of health and vitality. The thing is that we are so used to being chronically ill, and you know, how many clients come in and they go, you know, you sort of like do your health check, and do you have headaches, have stomach or whatever it might be, and they say, headaches, but that's just me, I always have headaches. And they think that it's normal, and they forget that that's actually not normal. You can live well, and you can live with vitality and life force, and that's what we're promoting here. And it's very gentle, and it's handing it back to you. You know, we don't want people to be reliant on us. We want them to be able to navigate it themselves. But at some point, you know, you get to a point where you go, I don't know where to go anymore. I don't know. And there's so many symptoms, there's so many things, you know, aches and pains and all sorts of things happening. Where do you start? Start little bit by little bit and make it long-term change. They need you there just to sort of start to start, and then you send them on their merry way. Like you said, you help them, and then it's something they work on for them. And it's building a community as well, you know. So through our 4-week program, it's just that sort of step in where people can be held accountable, I guess, in a really loving way. But, you know, we check in and go, how's things going? What's coming up? And Tamika is also going to do a beautiful talk about what to expect when you are detoxing, because there are so many things that come up, even for us, you know, if we go, okay, we need to retune, because what Tamika was talking about with regards to all the toxins in our life, I mean, it can get really depressing, and you feel like you just don't want to go anywhere because it's just all toxic. But if we keep on top of it and do that daily practice, you know, you do manage, and you can live with vitality and good health.
And I think the other important point to take away is that I don't like to use a war reference. I don't even like the word, but it's if you're going to go to war, you need to know your enemy. And it's this idea that our world is not our enemy, but we've taken a few wrong turns as humanity, and we're basically living in an environment which we've created definitely not for our health and well-being. But once you know what you're up against, you can make conscious decisions around what it is that you're going to do. So you will know that if I go to an airport and I go through the scan, I'm going to get radiation, and so is my bag, and so is everything in it. I can actually choose to manually be patted down and have my bag manually checked, and I bypass that.
See, we don't think of that, do we?
No. So it's this idea that we've got lots of things that we can do, but we can't do it if we don't know it's there.
That's
we
true.
don't know it's affecting our health. You know, if I've bought something organic, which I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing, lots of organic produce is sprayed with MSG, so that's not good either. So now I need to wash it. But if I have all of these skill sets and I know what I can do, all of a sudden my health is in my hands, and I can make those decisions. And that's really what we're on about. It's not, this is what we're going to do for you, but this is unfortunately what we're up against, but you can do something about it, and you can heal. And here is where you need to look. Here is where we can provide this space for you to become educated, right? That's really all it's about, is knowledge is power. Get to know what you're up against, and then you can do something about it. And even that in itself alleviates stress, because most of the stress that we're finding with people that have chronic illness is that they don't know where it's coming from, and no one has any answers.
And that's frustrating.
And scary.
And fear.
You know,
the fear
it's
comes
scary.
into it as well, doesn't it?
So that's really where the workshops have stemmed from, is to start an education process around understanding your health condition, what may have started it, and what we can do to start removing some of that root cause together as a team.
Sounds fabulous. Wow. And Beatrice, you were saying fear. You know, people are scared.
Yes.
And there's unknowns.
Absolutely. And with fear, it just it spreads so quickly as well. And that's what, and we need to keep a lid on it. And so with knowledge and with the information, there's that clarity, and there's no need for fear. You know, a lot of people, so if they are chronically ill, or there's something, you know, oh, I just want to have an answer, I just want to know what it is, I want to have a label for it. But it doesn't necessarily make that any better, or it doesn't make it easier to, it doesn't alleviate, it alleviate it, correct. And these days there are so many conditions that there is no name or label for it. So as Tamika said, we look for the root cause, and then we just start little bit by little bit to start giving people that sense of clarity as well, you know, because when you're sort of in a lot of pain, for example, it's very hard to see clearly, and that's where you do need somebody to step in and say, look, this is what you are needing, and this is the guidance that we can give you. And then as you start getting better, you then are able to make more of those decisions on your own.
And I think also too, we've built some fear around diet and lifestyle as well. Like, for example, there's so many diet trends, you know, and so many ways, you know, are you paleo, are you keto, fruit fear, oh my gosh, fruit's going to give us this, or and so it's also giving some information around not so much a diet or a lifestyle for weight loss or cosmetic reasons or strength. It's actually about healing. These foods will feed pathogens, these foods won't, right? These foods will dispel, like you were saying, certain products will dispel heavy metals, and these things won't. So it's taking the fear out of food, out of lifestyle choices, and making it really quite practical around healing. Can be very, very simple. It can be a very simple act, and not something that has to complicate your life in any way, but that has to come from doing the work and doing the reading, and we're happy to go there with you and to do that with you.
And it's taking the ownership, actually, isn't it, and handing it back to you. And it doesn't have to be a big expense either, you know, it doesn't have to be something that's going to cost you a lot of money. It's simple little practices, and then you grow and expand on that. And in fact, it will save you a lot of money.
That's true.
In the long run.
Exactly, and doctor's bills, and we don't want to end up in the hospital having surgery, and that's expensive.
Right. I mean,
so
we don't want to go there.
Why not?
It's there
if
we need it, but it's not really where we want to go.
Exactly.
And the fear, where's that coming from? Is it fear of dying? Well, we're all going to die. So embracing death for a starter, and actually embracing it, as I said, and in that way, then you can actually truly live.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Absolutely. And so if we're in this constant fear of death, we're constantly avoiding life, or you know, trying to skip it. But instead of embracing actually each moment and accepting it as it is, and seeing the truth in it, instead of going out there in the head,
exactly,
telling ourselves all these stories.
Because I think when people make decisions from a place of fear, they're not the right decisions. They're like, oh, they panic, and it's like, oh, just do that. But wait a minute, let's research that. Let's think clearly. Let's relax. You know, it's that machine, isn't it, out there? we won't go into it, but it's pushing fear.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
there's some things we need to be
Mm.
aware of. Be careful, of course. We're not saying be nonchalant and everything is kumbaya. Yes, be
Yeah.
aware, be
Yeah.
careful, but don't come from a place of fear. Come from a place of knowledge. Knowledge is power, like you both
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
And there's so much information out there. I mean, you can just go on YouTube or Google what to do in this case, and you'll get so many different polar opposite. Like even sometimes I'll just Google, can you give a dog a turnip, for example?
Yeah.
And 3 sites say yes, it's the best thing for him, and another 2 will say don't, it will kill him. So this is why it's good to come to people like yourselves that know you've done the research, you've been trained, you're professionals.
And we've
We come
also
to you.
lived it. So
Yeah,
both of
exactly.
us have dealt with severe health issues for a period of time in our
Yeah.
lives, and so also knowing what it's like to be on Mattress Island or on Couch Island or in dire straits with your health. It is a scary place to be, and it's that in itself is fearful, and we can well relate to that 100%. So the other thing is that we have done the reading, not for you, but we're definitely there to help unpack it all and alleviate some of that initial stress, and to challenge some of the conditioning that we have. Is the sun really bad for us? Is eating fruit really bad for us?
I love this.
So it's like, okay, or like, do we really need that much protein, or do we really? So it's unpacking some of our conditioning, which is confronting, I understand, but that is probably the path we're going to need to go down in order to crack some of these chronic conditions that are lingering around and we don't have an answer for, because the human body just doesn't produce illness out of thin air.
Exactly.
We've got to remember that even from the Ayurvedic context, the body wants to find equilibrium. It wants to heal. So if you watch anything in nature, any animal that's injured, its immediate response is to find somewhere to get to heal, and to start kickstarting that response. Humans are no different. So our bodies are not turning on us. They're not faulty. We weren't born wrong. Our bodies are trying to find equilibrium with what it's up against. It's fighting off something. So whether that's the diet that we're having, that's from what we eat to what we consume physically, what we wear, what we watch, all of that contributes. But it means we have to challenge the norm, because if the norm was working, we wouldn't all be crook, right? So chronic illness wouldn't be up on the rise, and it wouldn't be starting to get to younger people and more severe levels. So we have to challenge some of that norms, and I do it with love, and also too with high respect for people in the industry across the medical field. But when there's a lot of gaps in the knowledge and there's work to be done, and I want to be part of that, we want to be a part of that. But it does mean that we have to step back and maybe have a review of, what we're dealing with.
Well said. It's interesting that you say that about the sun. I saw a video and the lady was saying, it was an older video, a scientist, a medical person, and she was saying, why are we scared of the sun? I mean, we're not saying go sit out in 40-degree sun for 3 hours in the middle of the day, but sun is healing, and they did tests on whether it was rats or whatever. I can't remember exactly, but she said the sun, the safe sun, was reducing tumours in the human body, in the body of the test. So
when did
the
it
sun
turn
is
bad?
medicine.
I don't understand when
D.
all of a sudden it went. And if anything else, if on the other side of it is, in fact, we're getting less sunlight because of the pollution exposure that we have. So it's blocking a lot of the sun from getting up front to us, in addition to potentially wearing things that block the sun, creams and so on.
Yeah.
So, but I understand that this is jarring information, and it challenges a lot of things, and I'm not here to create controversy. It's just a different perspective, and in my experience from a personal level, healing chronic illness, but also in working with people in the community, it's working, and it's highly effective, and it's kind to the body, and in fact it's creating new strengths that I haven't seen in people for a long time. So it's worth a look at.
And it's using natural resources. It's using what's there in front of us, isn't it? And you don't have to travel too far and wide to find it. It's right there for us.
Yeah, it just reminds me when we were just talking about the sun, about what's been happening the past 2 years. And a lot of people have said that vitamin D, zinc, and vitamin C was to assist in the process of healing.
Critical.
You know,
Particularly zinc and
not gonna-
vitamin C.
yeah,
Critical.
zinc, vitamin C, the sun. You know, like when people have got the flu or something, they're sick. We're told go sit in the sun. I mean, we were told that from our grandmas. If you're not well, wrap yourself up, go sit in the sun. Read a book, have a cup of tea, have your oranges, you said zinc. What did you say was important? The vitamin C?
Zinc and vitamin
Zinc
C
and
are
vitamin
critical
C.
antivirals and immune boosting. So the other thing that we've got to look at too is if you're managing chronic illness, you also have a compromised immune system. So it's not just about understanding virus and bacteria and how they work in the body, but also heavy metals and other things that are making us really crook, but also then to say, well, we've got to lessen those, but we've got to boost our immune system. So viruses are going to have a field day, and that doesn't matter what virus it is. They're going to have a field day in your system if your immune system is compromised. So there are some classics that work really well, like vitamin C and zinc, but additionally there are foods that feed viruses, and there are lifestyle choices that feed viruses, and we need to look at those.
Meat, dairy.
From the work of Anthony William and the work of Medical Medium, there are quite a few troublemaker foods, and some of those have been human induced. So for example, there's nothing wrong with corn, there's nothing wrong with soy, but we've gone and genetically modified a lot of it, which is causing issue. But the three big heavy hitter ticket items are your eggs, your dairy and your gluten, in terms of most chronic illness that we would work with. We'll find, particularly in terms of feeding pathogens, so bacteria like strep, or viruses like the Epstein-Barr, or a cyclomegavirus, or the shingles viruses. They particularly like those foods.
So just those foods again: eggs,
gluten and dairy. Yeah, they're your top three. There are others that will definitely create issue in your healing, but if you're going to, and like I said, I would highly recommend the book Cleanse to Heal. Go and have a read of it, and come to our workshops so that we will talk about those specifically in order. So the first workshop, I'll be looking at what it is that we're actually up against, really breaking down environmental issues that we've got coming our way with our health, and what the links are to certain conditions. So what play a role with neurological conditions, with chronic pain, with migraines, hormonal problems, so on and so forth. And there we will definitely look at the healing foods that are critical, from fruits, vegetables, wild foods and herbs. And then towards the end, unpacking how to choose a cleanse. What cleansing program do you go on? What's one that is right for me? What am I going to, and I've done plenty of reading in that department and can assist helping the attendees of the workshop choose that for themselves, but also where to find the information further on. And that's when they can also join the New You program as it goes on, and have that further support through Lee and Beatrice as well.
So you mentioned neurological issues, and so that can be healed through food and herbs and sort of fruits and veg?
In my experience, there would be three key areas that you look at with neurology, and everybody is different, right? So a neurological condition like Parkinson's has a very different protocol to something like neuralgia or trigeminal neuralgia, because one's more heavy metal related, one's more virus related, and so it would depend on also the person's exposure, what they have in their systems, and that would need a thorough look at. But generally, you would look at a antiviral protocol, a cleansing protocol to get rid of heavy metals from the body, and that's quite rigid, really, in terms what needs to be done. But then definitely fruits and vegetables and certain protocols that, in addition to yoga treatments, Ayurvedic treatments, definitely assist that process massively.
And even things like breathing that we wouldn't think, something like breathing and visualization, meditation, just that inner, focusing on our inner self. I mean, we always hear the power of the mind. We've heard it for decades, that people heal themselves with their mind or their belief system or whatever, whether it's spiritual, whether it's whatever it is. You know, you hear athletes saying visualizing winning, and whatever we put in our mind is very powerful. We can't underestimate that. Oh,
definitely not. And from the Ayurvedic principles too, you know, it's really about aligning all the aspects of our existence in order to live well. So the physical body, the mind and the spiritual self. Now, Ayurveda is not a religion, but it simply acknowledges that you have a soul and a spirit just as much as you do a set of teeth, right? It's just like, look, you
Makes
have it,
sense.
right? You can believe in it what you will,
Yeah.
but it's a part of who you are. And all three aspects of self need to be aligned in order for you to experience well-being. So the mind is important, but it can't be the standalone. There's no point in having a balanced, beautiful mind if your body is dealing with toxins and poisons, because it won't work. So it's really about that alignment principle, and bringing it all like a good game of Jenga, you know, just
that's
all
it.
into the right
Aligning
spot.
alignment.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
it.
And I mean, through the yoga practice as well, I mean, Pranayama, which is your breath work, is one whole branch of yoga. So people think that yoga is just your asanas, your postures, but there are so many other elements. And again, it's holistic. It's looking at all aspects of your life. And I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, but it actually is addictive, because you just keep feeling better and better and more open and more aware, and your feet are firmly on the ground, and yet you have this spaciousness and real awareness. And then one of the main things that I have noticed as a big transformation is getting that awe and wonder in the world again. And it's a very difficult thing to do in today's day and age, with all of this bombardment of all the negativities and the violence and the aggression. It's everywhere. But if the lighter you are with, and through alignment and wellness and really coming back also to your intuition, and you know that those, you were talking about some of the old wives' tales, so to speak, the remedies and things like that. They are very real. They are, and they're very effective. And that saying, stop and smell the roses. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's the truth. You do need to stop, and you need to be aware in every moment. So the breath awareness, meditation can come in all sorts of shapes and forms. It doesn't have to be sitting under a temple somewhere and sitting there for hours and hours. It's not for everybody. Meditation can come in so many forms, as a simple pause, just stopping, taking 3 breaths, awareness of the surrounds, and then off you go into your day. And it keeps bringing you back into the reality. That's another little project that we've got, is Project Pause, where anybody that wants to jump on board, we send out a little message and a little emoji with the 2 little paws. And it's just a reminder that whenever I do it, I remind others to do it as well. To stop, take a breath, take 3 breaths, really indulge, and bring yourself connected into this space. And then the world looks different.
That's interesting to say 3 breaths and really indulge, because even just to concentrate on taking 1 deep breath, it's like an effort.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think you haven't got time. That's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Because we've got to make time for that.
Yeah.
Because we really breathe too shallow, humans.
Yes.
We think we're breathing, but we're not. We're breathing light, shallow.
Yeah. And then another beautiful thing that Lee and I just had a weekend of what they call Klung yoga, because it's actually under Peter Hess, who's German. So it's sound yoga, but also sound massage. So we're now also offering these beautiful sound massages.
You are?
Yeah.
Really?
Seriously, get in on it.
It's incredible.
So good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and
what are the instruments used?
so they're therapeutic singing bowls, made out of 7 different precious metals, and they are designed for the different energies in the body, and depending on what we are trying to achieve. But really, to begin with, it's pure relaxation and pure awareness and just being in the space. And
When is that?
You can book in anytime. So we do offer like a sound, like a sound bath, I guess, or sound yoga. So it can be in a class situation, but also as a massage. So it's 1-to-1. So you're booking for your.
And it can be incorporated into a physical treatment too. Is that
It
right?
can, absolutely.
So if you're coming for an Ayurvedic, Abhyanga or oil massage or a Shirodhara, Beatrice can also incorporate,
And Lee,
can also incorporate that to either end the session or open the session.
Yeah,
So it's a beautiful tool that can be worked with, the program that might have been developed for you, but it can be within one session as well, which I think is an added bonus.
Absolutely, because different things connect to us in different ways. So some people really resonate with the sound. And I mean, if you think of vibrations, sound and vibrations, I mean, you look at, even if you just have the bowl and you put some water in it and you sound it, and the geometrical formations of the water is incredible of what it does. And we're like 72% water.
No, we did more.
Maybe 74,
I don't know.
something like that. We're a lot of water, and so vibrations are going to have such an impact on us physically. So if we have, those bad vibrations, like you get it from
electric frequencies, other
or anger, aggression, all of those things. It's going to have an effect, and so balancing that out with these beautiful therapeutic bowls, it's just phenomenal. I'm still on cloud nine, sort of like, because we practiced on each other. We had 4 days immersion of it, just a couple of weekends ago.
I thought you were going to say you did it before the session.
No, I do it every day. Every day now.
Oh.
I use my bowls as part of
you
my
got
meditation
all 7
practice.
bowls?
No,
I've got one, but I had to test it before I bought it. There was a few different ones, and it had to. One of them resonated with me, and I don't know why.
And it's good to sound them and see what.
Sound them.
But these aren't the ones that you.
Oh, it's not that.
No, they're the same shape, but you don't actually sound them like the Tibetan traditional ones. It's using different mallets.
Oh.
And the sound just goes on forever.
What's the term of that
amazing
instrument?
Well, they are singing bowls.
Yeah, singing bowls. If someone's listening, they want to go buy one.
Yeah. So these particular ones are therapeutic ones, and Peter Hess, and they're all handmade. So there's a lovely lady, Uta Coleman, over in the Margaret River, and I think her business is Sound Relaxation. Yep. And she was our teacher, our mentor. Yeah. So, and you can purchase them through her as well.
Look, I want to keep talking, but I've come to the end of the show. So part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1 is Saturday 21st of May, part 2 Sunday 29th, and part 3 Saturday 4th of June. How can we get our tickets?
So we've got it up on Eventbrite, and if you search for New You, it comes up straight away. New You.
Excellent. All right.
Or under East West Ayurveda and Yoga. And there's a little promo code for all of our listeners as well. So if you just pop in PBAFM.
Oh.
Yes. So then you get a lovely little discount.
That's good.
And our clients who are in the New You program, they get a really, so all of these offerings are at discount prices for them too. Bring a friend and there's a discount as well. So there's lots of options there. I also offer as part of our program, a weekly online meditation on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, which you can do in the comfort of your own home. Meditation and relaxation with some of the singing bowls as well. So that's a lovely one to do too. So we have a diverse range of things to offer, and we're really excited, and we're here to serve the community as well, which is a big passion for all of us. Dr. Sharma, Lee,
I can
Tamika.
sense that you're really both passionate about it. Maybe we can get you back in to do a part 2 before the 21st of May, because I know there's more to talk about, and I've got more questions too, but I really got to put this next show on. So
not a problem.
Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you so much for having us.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, Bianca.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
That was excellent. Thank you. Just got to throw that song on. But if there's any, this is going to go on YouTube, so we can still say anything else if you want to. If there's anything we didn't finish, is there anything else, like a phone number to ring? Or?
Yeah, I think that's probably quite a bit for everybody to digest the first time round, don't you think?
Sure. I think if you do have, well, I don't know. Sorry, am I looking over here?
Yeah.
Hello. Sorry, I'm new. What can I say? If you do have any questions for us, the details are all on the website. So either the satvarcenter.com or
eastwestau.com.
Yeah, and our contact details, even if it's in reflection of what we've spoken about today, or you have some interest in coming along to some of the workshops, please do contact us.
Yes, looking forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely.
And also a lot can be done online as well, so if you're not here in Adelaide, you can still be part of the program on many other ways as well, platforms. Yeah. So thanks for listening.
Thank you. Take care.
Just one quick thing. What do you think about fruit? We can just add that on this last bit.
Fruit is the most healing food on the planet. Most healing food on the planet. Where it comes into trouble, where it plays issue with our health is when it's combined with radical fats. Yeah. So if we're looking at fruit becoming an issue, where if we talk, a lot of the arguments around type 2 diabetes or blood sugar problems is that bad sugar is bad. Yes, fruit should be put in a completely different category. But if we're using it with, if it's fruit and ice cream, fruit and yogurt, fruit and I'm trying to think of other combinations.
Any fruit and dairy.
Fruit and dairy. So the fat blocks the critical glucose, or the essential parts of the fruit getting to the cells that we need it. So fruit on its own is very, very important. Yeah. So have it in
talk
isolation.
about that on radio.
And Ayurveda says that right from the start as well.
But fruit is absolutely key to your healing. There's no two ways about it. Fruit, leafy greens. Fruit and leafy greens. Yeah. So if
because I've come across this recently, this fruit thing, and that the fruit has been demonised, and it's like a crime against the human body, because we're not saying eat loads of it, but a couple of pieces of fruit a day. Well, 3 or 4 pieces of fruit is essential.
It's
medicinal.
If we look at human breast milk, for example, it has the lowest ratio of protein that's ever been recorded against any other form of animal, right? So it's like less than 1% protein. It's mainly sugar, it's glucose. So if you're to look at what we are fed in our earliest, most crucial, vulnerable years of our life, it's glucose, it's sugar. That's what we need. So I'm not talking about Cadbury, and I'm not talking about candied popcorn. I'm talking about fruit. Is what we need, what our brain requires, what our liver requires, what our bloodstream requires in order to heal and to fight off things like pathogens, antiviral, antibacterial. I could go on. So if you want to ask me about a fruit,
I love this. This
fruit
is
profile.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really onto this topic the last month. This fruit thing.
Spread fruit like it's going out of fashion.
Yeah, people are scared of fruit. They're told it's going to give you diabetes. It's sick. It feeds cancer. Sugar feeds cancer. Yeah, I won't say Cadbury's. I won't say brand.
Sorry, nothing against Cadbury.
Yeah, exactly.
Honest. I'm just talking chocolate.
Yeah,
generalised.
Exactly. Yeah. But the fruit, that's healing.
It's extremely.
We really need to make that distinction.
If we want to heal our bowel, if we want to heal our bloodstreams, our lymphatic system, our nervous system.
And the thing is, don't believe us, just try it. That's
lessen your fats in your diet.
And as I was saying, like Ayurveda 5,000 years ago said, do not eat fruit and dairy together.
Yeah, it's
like
one of one
of the first things that we learned.
So fruit smoothies.
What about plant milk, like almond milk and fruit? Is that a no as well?
It's okay, but I
still
just
clashes because of the fats, the plant fat.
Put some coconut water in it.
Coconut water's a better idea, and it's what's really lovely is the smoothie bowls. So if you just put like dragon fruit, mango, and banana, and then you blend it all up, it just becomes like an ice cream, and you don't need to put anything with it. It's just perfect.
And then to keep in alignment to keeping things pacified too, don't have it straight out of the fridge. Have it at room temperature.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but if you add ice and make it, this frozen, that's where then it's not good for the gut, and you can't absorb it because it's too much hard work for the body to then regulate the temperature before it can start digesting.
Exactly.
So have it
it's also logical, isn't it?
Same temperature.
It's incredibly logical.
Yeah.
But again, it's unpacking some of the. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Have you thought of going into schools?
Yes.
We're talking.
Yeah, we sort of like going.
Would love to go into schools.
We need to get the young ones.
Yeah, we do.
But the most powerful thing that we can do adults, I think, is to model.
Yeah.
So I think
That's
what
true.
we need to never underestimate as parents and role models in kids' lives is that they do what you do, not what you say.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so if you're sitting there with a big bowl of fruit, all of a sudden, Mum,
They're
can I have
gonna
some
copy
mango?
you.
Mum,
Yeah,
can I have a
it's true,
strawberry?
yeah.
Mum, can I?
Yeah.
So they will,
Yeah.
you know, the power of leading by example is massive. It's just massive.
It is.
And the most powerful place we can do it is at home. So yeah, that's the other thing I would say in working with children.
What about, you hear people sort of saying that they have like fruit with like nut butters, like macadamia nut butter with banana, and is that a clash too, like nut butter and fruit? Because you said with the fat.
It's a
and
clash
the
in
fruit.
terms of, so your liver, right, is, if you want good health, you need a happy liver, and your liver can't cleanse fats and toxins at the same time. So it'll go, I can only deal with this load of fat, or I can deal with these poisons, but I can't do both, right? I'm good, but I'm not that good. So really, if we're looking to heal and we're looking to cleanse, you have nothing wrong with nut butter, right? Nuts have got great nutrients in them, and I'm a huge advocate. But if you're trying to heal and you've got chronic illness, you have to lower your fats. It's that simple. 10 to 15% of your diet.
And have it on its own and not with fruits. Is
Oh,
that a
look,
difference?
you'll get
Later
more
in
out
the
of your
day,
fruit
yeah.
if you have it on its own.
No,
Yeah.
but the nut butter's on its
Well, you
own.
have
Yeah.
them later in the day,
Have it
and
later in-
give yourself that chance in
Really?
the morning to do your cleanse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then if you have your more of the fats, then have them later in the day.
And the later you
can't
can have
cleanse
it,
with fats.
Nope.
I thought plant fats were good.
plant fats are good, but not first thing in the morning. So in the morning, your liver is trying to still detox all the stuff from yesterday, right? It's still going, oh, I'm processing that coffee, I'm processing that fat, I'm processing pharmaceuticals. But if we then go and upload it with, you know, a heavy breakfast, a cooked breakfast, a cup of coffee and some nut butter, it slows everything right down, and all of a sudden it hasn't gone through the sludge that it needed to last night, and it just then sits in there. But if we then give it a helping hand, we super hydrate and we eat lots of fresh fruit and we give all the body the critical glucose and mineral salts that it needs, it'll continue that cleansing process. Yeah. And then later on in the day, introduce some of those healthy fats for sure.
Yeah.
Have some animal protein, do what, you know, aligns with you. But if you can extend it a bit from first thing in the morning to later on in the day, that in itself can create massive change in your health.
Do you both do intermittent fasting?
Fasting doesn't suit
As
suit
in,
me.
well, what I mean is like
Or
skipping
cleansing.
brekkie and eating like in a window, like lunch to dinner, like a 6-hour window only, and letting the bowels and digestive tract rest for a bigger window. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Now, for the bowels, that can work really well. But if you've got tired adrenals, which most of us do, so it's that constant fight, flight, or freeze mode, and to a degree, many people are dealing with adrenal fatigue. If you leave them unattended for too long, particularly first thing in the morning, it then kicks them into sort of overdrive.
You mean unattended as in giving it no food?
Exactly. So your adrenals need love, right? It's really important, but they need regular input, yep, so that those blood sugars don't drop. So the bowel, yes, having a break is great. If your adrenals are nice and healthy, that's a different conversation altogether. But if you're under, especially if you've got neurological
fair enough,
conditions
yeah.
or fatigue issues, you can't leave them unattended. They need something.
But for
sure.
someone who's generally healthy,
That can be up for discussion, definitely.
Really?
Yeah. And see, that's where the unique nature of everybody is so important to analyse.
Yeah.
It's not a one size fits all. It's really, it's important to have it tailored for you and to have someone bring that perspective into your health.
have you heard of Dr. Pradip? Pradip, Dr. Pradip. He's a Indian doctor who's a heart surgeon, cardiologist, and he talks about fasting for reducing our blood sugars. And he said we're addicts, we're all addicted to food. We want to eat every 2-3 hours. He said that's not a good thing. You know, why are people getting so much diabetes? And he talks about the intermittent fasting, just sort of starting off with 2 or 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people eat maybe 8 meals a day, you know, snack here and there.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a fan of that. So it's worth having a look at his video, Dr. Pradeep, because it's quite interesting. Just to get his point of view on healing.
And it depends on what you're working with.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it comes.
Because he's
down
talking
to.
about
So
diabetes when he does that
it's
talk.
so individual, and that's where it needs to be sort of tailor made.
Exactly.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. And additionally too, I think there are so many beautiful practices like fasting, like giving your body a break. Which we like it's in Ayurveda to give your body a break.
Is it?
But
Or they say to like not eat for a day or 2.
or
like
particular windows of time.
windows,
but
yeah.
there's also the idea that this is sort of unprecedented what the human body is up against at the moment. We've never seen adrenal fatigue like we've seen it these days, like chronic fatigue to the point where young mums aren't getting out of bed, and depression to a point where people aren't able to hold their jobs. So the extreme nature of what we're managing, I think we have to almost go back to healing first. Healing first. You have to get back to your adrenals functioning, get back to sleeping well, get back to being able to eat food and eliminate waste. And if you can do all of those things, then we can start to get into a routine of healthy fasting, of maintenance, of but most people are needing to start right down to being able to sleep, being able to get out of bed without needing a coffee because your energy is fine. You know, being able to not have anxiety so that you can get in the car and drive. If we're able to do all of those things, then that's a different kettle of fish. But generally, in what we're working with in the clinic, it's quite extreme. And even within our family and within our community, that's what we're talking about with chronic illness, I think. Yeah. We'll get there.
So interesting.
We'll get there. I'm a loud voice, and so
Wow, you're both
passionate.
awesome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for your time.
And touching base. It's good. Lovely
so
to be back.
glad that the listeners got that. So if you want to say goodbye here.
Yeah, we'll say goodbye.
2 beautiful
See you
angels.
Looking
See
forward
you
to
next
seeing
time. I'm
you.
too tall for the camera.
You aren't tall. You netballer?
No.